What's going on, guys? This is Farron, back again with another Bayonetta video, but this time I want to talk about the heir to the Umbran throne herself, Jeanne. And I want to talk about my theories on what her role will be in Bayonetta 3 if Bayonetta 3 is a prequel, what I'd like to see from her in Bayonetta 3, and also what I'd like to see from her gameplay-wise if we get to play as her in any capacity throughout Bayonetta 3. So to start off, I'm going to start with my theories and wants as far as the story goes. Now, I'm only going to mention my theories on if Bayonetta 3 is a prequel in terms of Jeanne, because if Bayonetta 3 is a sequel to Bayonetta 2, then they could pretty much go anywhere with the story. So it's really hard to kind of come up with what they may do based on information that we're given up to this point. But if it's a prequel, then we have so much information as to what could happen. So it's much easier to theorize what could happen. So as far as Jeanne goes, if this is a prequel and we're going back, let's say if the prequel goes back all the way back to before the witch hunts, before the war between the Umbra and the Lumen, we're put in a place where Jeanne is about to be deemed the new heir of the Umbran clan. So she's going to become, I guess, the next master or queen or what have you of the entirety of the clan within Vigrid. Now, one of the things I would really like to see if Bayonetta 3 is a prequel is to see how Jeanne and Sega first met and how they became rivals and how they gradually became friends over time as they got older. Now, I say became friends gradually because I theorize that they probably weren't friends right out the gate. And that's one of the reasons why I would like to see their first meeting, because for any of you guys who had beaten Bayonetta 1, you get the congratulations screen where there's all the CG renders, and you can kind of scroll around and look at all the different CG renders and stuff. If you look, there's an image of Sega and Jeanne as children, and they're both summoning their little devils that you can summon in the game that can attack for you, and they're doing their summoning. And if you look, Jeanne, from what I remember, she was like summoning them and they were all very uniform. Her little devils were very uniform and they looked like they were following her orders to the letter. And it didn't even look like Jeanne was trying that hard to even summon them. But then if you look at little Sega, she summoned her little devils, but they're all like misbehaving and giving each other noogies and all this. And so it looked like she was like having a hard time getting them to listen to her. And so I find like Jeanne was probably being allowed to eventually become the heir to the throne. She probably had resources and even the way her outfit looked, I remember it being having this like royal red. She might have even been royalty within the clan. So that would mean that Jeanne had resources that in terms of learning the Umbran arts and studying and practicing, training herself, that Sega and maybe any other Umbran witch probably just simply didn't have. And at the same time, for all we know, she could have also just been, being royalty, she might have also just been talented because she had greatness all around her. If she was royalty, I'm not sure. That's just a theory based on her character design and the very kind of royal elements to her design. So compared to Jeanne, Sega probably had to learn the Umbran arts through secondhand means. So if Jeanne is royalty, and she's as good as she is at the Umbran arts compared to Sega when they first meet, I imagine as children, they probably didn't get along that well at first. Somehow I just see Jeanne being kind of snooty and stuck up to Sega at first, you know, before they became friends. And I think that could be very amusing, how like Jeanne's all like, and she's, you know, she's so much better than Sega, and Sega is just like flopping all around and she doesn't really know what she's doing and she's trying to do the magical arts but she's not very good at it. And Jeanne just looking at her, because she's probably used to being surrounded by those who are really good at what they do, and then she's absorbing that as a child. She's taking that all in. So then she sees Sega as an outcast being so incompetent at the Umbran arts at first and just looking down on her. But going from that and then slowly building friendship and rivalry, I think that could be a cool thing to see in a game, you know, just between those two Umbran sisters, Sega and Jeanne, to the point where they get to being longtime friends and rivals as adults. and actually respecting each other. And you get to the point where Jeanne, who is talking to the Umbran Elder and is about to be ordained as the new heir to the Umbran clan, and she chooses to face against Cereza as her final challenge before becoming the Umbran leader. That when she does that, it seems that she's showing Cereza, even though she's behind bars, even though she's an outcast, at that point she's showing Cereza a sign of respect. She's showing her appreciation and showing that she realizes, even as the outcast, she is her greatest rival, and that's I think a level of respect that is the rest of the clan doesn't even understand how Jeanne could give such respect and appreciation to an outcast. And I think that would be a really cool dynamic to show their progression from being strangers and to becoming the best of friends and rivals. Also, I just think it would be amusing to see a little Cereza just be so incompetent at performing the magical arts, and like she's like teenager and she just like still kind of sucks and because she's so good, and when she gets older, it's even though she didn't have the same resources as the rest of the witches, I really would like to see how Cereza had to be crafty about learning the Umbran arts, since she probably wasn't given the same opportunities as the other Umbran witches, and yet still came out on top as one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful Umbran witch, only rivaled by Jeanne. So those are some of my theories of what could be shown in Bayonetta 3 between Jeanne and Cereza when they're children, based on my own observations, as well as some of the things I would like to see between the two of those characters during their time learning under the Umbran clan. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the kind of gameplay mechanics I'd like to see out of Jeanne, and ultimately also Cereza, Bayonetta. One of the things I've always wanted to see from Jeanne, once I found out you can play as Jeanne, I was really hoping that she would have a few different attacks. But it turned out that she was essentially just a reskin from Bayonetta. Now, one of the things I always wanted to see was Jeanne have her own attack patterns, different moves, even if they weren't really different in terms of their stats, the perimeters of the damage and all this and the speed, but just having them look different would have, helped a lot for me. I just wanted them to have a different flair to them than what Bayonetta's were. And once Bayonetta 2 happened and Jeanne still fought like Bayonetta 1 Bayonetta, I kind of was like, okay, that kind of makes a certain degree of sense, because Bayonetta, when she's using Love is Blue, the way she attacks is a little bit more stylistic, and I felt like that fit Bayonetta a bit more. And then with Jeanne, she's a bit more by the book with the way she strikes. And I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. She was like the poster child of the Umbra, so that made sense. She's going to be probably very by the book in terms of her attack patterns, the way she represents the clan's Umbran arts. But stylistically, I just feel like maybe that kind of works. You have one character that has a lot more swinging motions, a lot more spinning, and you have another character that's a bit more straightforward, and that would be Jeanne. But what I would really like to see, though, I would like to see the dev team push differences between Jeanne and Bayonetta even further. And the reason for that is, not only would it make playing the two Umbran sisters more of a unique experience between each other, it would also lead into my next idea, which is something I wanted to see before Bayonetta 2 was even announced. I had in my mind this idea of, what if for Bayonetta 2, now again, mind you, this is before Bayonetta 2 was announced, what if the next Bayonetta game had the ability to tag in and out the two Umbran sisters, right? In my mind, I was thinking something along the lines of Beautiful Joe 2. For any of you guys who played Beautiful Joe 2, you play as Beautiful Joe, and then you could switch out, you could tag out on the fly and tag in Sexy Sylvia. Now, the whole point of that was that Beautiful Joe was a brawler, he fought up close, and Sylvia had, she had range attacks. And they both had different VFX abilities that you would use depending on the situation, whether it was a puzzle that you needed one ability over another, or if you just felt one ability will suit your needs better in a boss fight or what have you. So it gave a reason for you to switch at any given moment. And Jeanne and Bayonetta are essentially the same kind of character, so they would have to change them drastically in order for this idea to work. But it's something I really wanted to see. I thought it would be really dope if they could somehow balance Bayonetta's gameplay in a way where you can tag out the two Umbran sisters mid-combo, and they can have like snarky lines with each other, and as they switch back and forth, like something out of like a Marvel vs. Capcom or something like that, or Beautiful Joe, but just but it's Bayonetta. And you just keep the combos going, you're switching in and out, and then they have like dual attacks when you attack at the same time. It could be really sick. Like they could do like both do like uppercuts, and Madama sticks and Madama butterfly's fists come out for like a double uppercut, or like there's all kinds of cool stuff that you could do, and you just mix and match all these different kinds of combo situations, and it could be really dope. But they would have to make the two characters complement each other's weaknesses, so they would have to drastically change how the two of them play off of each other. I think personally that would be really dope. Oh yeah, and actually, you know what, jumping back to what I'd like to see in the narrative again real quick, if Jeanne is royalty, one of the things I really would like to see, alongside with her, if her gameplay is changed a bit, is I'd like to really see, either through the main campaign, or if they do DLC, maybe along the lines, maybe you get like a Jeanne DLC where you play as Jeanne. But I really would like to see, if this is a prequel, how the two halves live. So how would it feel like if we're actually playing the game? What does it feel like when you're playing as the outcast, as someone who's poor and someone who has like, you know, nothing to their name? And how does it feel to play as someone who is potentially royalty and has so much to their beck and call, and just how the different characters treat you, you know what you have available to you, just like the different areas of the Umbran clans, you know, like where do the ones who are wealthier live, you know, the royalty live, compared to the prison cell that like Cereza and Rosa had to live in, you know, that kind of thing, you know, and just how they're both coming from opposite ends of the spectrum, only to meet together, you know, in the middle as equals in the end. I really like to be able to play that from both angles. I think that would be pretty dope. But yeah, those are just some of the theories and things that I personally would like to see out of Bayonetta 3 if it's a prequel surrounding Jeanne and Jeanne's relationship with Cereza. What's some of the things that you guys would like to see in regards to Jeanne from the story, Jeanne's relationship with Cereza, with her clan, more about her lineage? Is she royalty? What would you like to see from her gameplay wise? Would you like to play as Jeanne in the main campaign? Would you like to play as Jeanne, maybe have her own separate DLC dedicated solely to her? Would you want to play as her at all? Do you like the idea of like tag mechanics between Jeanne and Bayonetta working together in gameplay, and see if they can make that work? Let me know what you guys think. You have your own ideas. Let me know in the comment section. We can get a dialogue going. And yeah, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you guys in the next video. This is Fahrenheit, signing out.